Speaking of unlimited
Yes.
species,
Yeah.
Shall
Are
we?
not? Are we the only species?
God damn.
God, let's talk about that new telescope photo.
Please.
Well, I mean, you guys saw it. Like it's beautiful.
Yeah,
so what do
the
they call
old
this
James
thing?
Hub.
It's called the James Hub.
James.
No, James Webb.
James Webb.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, I'm way too slouchy
Okay,
for
so
this.
there was the
James-
Hubble.
Pre-warning. This is not where I want
All
to
right,
be.
let the
for
record
this.
show. I'm switching
Yeah.
to tequila.
So there was a Hubble telescope that like had done
James Hub.
that had done that ultra deep field view, and that
Yeah.
thing blew my mind when that came out. That was like the background photo for my phone for like years. I was like
Yeah.
blown away by that photo. And what we have now is something that does like much clearer photography than what the Hubble did.
That was many, many years in the works,
Man.
and it's a beautiful piece of art.
And like to get people exposed to that is so important, I think. And it's like, it's funny because when I saw that, it reminded me of how infinitesimally small our problems are. And we're talking about markets today. We're talking about
I was gonna say, you thought of that and then you went right back to your shorts to see like how they were doing.
I sure did. I sure did. I went right back to macro
What do you
shit.
honestly think when you think about that? Like when you think about the markets
Uh,
and then you realize the size and scale of your problem in direct correlation to your position in the
So-
universe, what do you really truly feel and think?
So it gives me like a photo like that, right? And this is, I don't even know what they call it. They call the Hubble one the ultra deep field view. I don't know what they call this one, but what we saw is like many like bright images in space are not stars.
We're entirely
They're
galaxies.
spiral galaxies that we're seeing at all times. These are like actual galaxies, not just stars. It's phenomenal. It's like, it's breathtaking to see with clarity, like what's out there. And for me, it just gives perspective. And perspective to me reminds me of like what we talked about on the last episode, or like on the Mexican Parable episode, which is like, what do you actually care about? And like markets I like, but I don't love markets. Like I don't love money. I like having it, and I like achieving things. I don't love it. Like what I love is like talking to you guys. I love my fiance. I love relationships. I love, I love real things here that are like much more core to me. Like even this talk of like World War stuff is like, it's fun and it's interesting, but like, I'm not going to play any role in that whatsoever. Like I'm too old to join the military. I'm like gluten intolerant. there's no chance.
I'm not kidding. I wouldn't survive out there.
You see those MREs full of grains.
You just ask for a timeout.
Yeah.
Battle. Timeout.
Excuse me, is there cow milk in that?
Tummy ache.
That's like, but to be honest, that is the Gen Z actual meme. Like
That is so funny.
that's like, I know I'm joking.
Okay, so a photo like that, what does it do? Like for me, it's perspective. It's like none of this shit that we're even talking about ever matters, and it brings you back to like the Harvard Grant study. It's like what does matter?
Right.
It's like what matters is like just what you love in life, and
So is that where it mostly takes you?
yeah, because it's like it's so big that like little things you just like they just
So
just
you
melt away.
Do you feel like you immediately start looking for the true meaning
true
of
meaning,
something
like true meaning of me though, like not true
Yeah.
meaning
of it all?
of existence, but just
Yeah.
true meaning of me. And true
That's
meaning of
interesting.
me is like
Different people react different ways to that exact feeling. So you're saying I react by going like, what does this mean for me? Like it means that I need to love, I need to experience, I need to connect. I need my life to like actually like not be about the markets, but
things that like I have no control over.
Yeah.
Like, just
Yeah.
bring it back to the core, because what you realize is like it's all so meaningless and small, right? All this shit we're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, like when I see an image like that, I get the nihilist path, which is like none of it means anything. Like
it's too. Why does a person feel like that? Is it because it's so big that it's just instantly meaningless in the first place?
Like, it's
a pebble of sand is not even a good analogy for what we are.
right, because like
A pebble of sand
pebble's
is
too big.
too big.
Yeah.
it's too big because you're just looking on the physical scale, which is like we are like a speck of
Yes.
dust on the physical scale, but then you think about the time scale. like billions of years before predate us, and billions of years will come after us. So like then you add the time scale to, you're like, what the fuck does this even matter?
So not just the time scale, but everything that we think about, like the pebble of sand being too small. The pebble of sand on a beach is a monstrous idea, right? And that yet is small for what the universe is. And yet, if you take that entire container of what we're really thinking about and talking about, looking at with the James Webb Telescope, that is 5% of the universe.
Right.
5%.
Oh, they just zoomed in on a little frame. Yeah, that's it.
And what I specifically mean by that is that dark matter and dark energy
I see what you're saying.
make up 95%.
But even within that frame, you could 360 it, and you can see galaxies all around. That was one shot. But then even to make that feel small, you're saying that there's this dark energy that's actually 95% of all matter.
I'm telling you that astrophysics and theoretical approach to the science of the universe itself is studying 5% of possibility.
Right.
That's fucking insane.
Okay, can I tell you guys a story about myself? Because I was so blown away when I saw the Hubble Ultra Deep Field View that I actually went to my dad. I was like, Dad, the only thing I care about is astrophysics. I want to, why did I not pursue this? He goes, well, son, he's like, we all play a role in this world. You're good at markets. You found your niche, and that is sort of like doing your part for astrophysics, because it allows the big gigabrains to go do what they do, and you just do what you do, and that stuck with me. I wouldn't be a great astrophysicist.
Just for the people that are playing the drinking game of markets right now, I just want to say markets. So that's 5 in the span of 10 seconds.
I mean, I see that, and I think it's all meaningless, and that you could go down a negative route with that, right? But you can also say, well, if it's meaningless, then I get to create whatever.
Most people don't react that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to go down the negative nihilist route. It doesn't mean anything. So what is anything useful for? What is my life useful for? You can kind of go down a dark hole. But I think the positive view of that, if you want to take it, is that you can create the meaning.
Is that how you personally feel?
Yeah. For mine, it's a massive amount of passive income. But I mean,
you're not joking.
I'm not joking, because it gives me the power to do all the things that Eric just on my own time with the people I want, as much as I want, whatever. But yeah, I think there's a positive take. And we talked about it when we traveled. When we traveled, that there's 1,000 different paths to go down in this life, right? And you can assign any one of those 1,000 meanings to your life, and that's maybe the positive take of it.
I mean, what did you think, Armand? Because I think the entire listener audience is excited to hear your take when you saw that thing.
Well, I have a feeling about the image, but I have a feeling about the original question as well. I think we should dive into the original question.
Let's do it.
Where are the aliens? Right? So you look at that image and you ask yourself, I'm one grain of sand on all the beaches of the of my planet, and yet I am nothing in this grand scheme of the universe. And to the mind, that's actually asking yourself, what does $1 trillion look like? The mind can't really compute that. That level is incomprehensible.
Agreed.
So when you get to the point where you have numbers that are incomprehensible, you lose yourself. What does it mean to lose yourself? You lose your individual consciousness, which is what you developed in the first place while you were here. What a weird, wild feeling. The thing that I evolved to develop no longer serves me. I'm not going to take you anywhere that's going to give you any tangible sense of meaning, because for me, I think that what this all comes down to is that there's this incomprehensible magnitude of what life is, And if I were God, that's the way I would build it. I would build myself the ultimate game that I could get lost in forever.
Like a Sim City.
Like a Sim City, but on exponential steroids and beyond. Like, what's that game that's based on like space that's continually evolving that somebody mentioned in our community recently? It's like a video game where the more you play it, the universe builds itself.
Oh, wow.
So dark matter is, there's gravitation, like there's gravity at play, right? Like dark matter like brings the universe in amongst itself. But dark energy, which is most of the universe, 70%, 68% of the universe, is like that's what's causing the universe to expand. So when I look at that, I think to myself, and that was like, I think it was in like the 90s when this happened, when like people were expecting the universe was shrinking. And then all of a sudden the universe was actually expanding, and we discovered these types of attributes to the universe itself, that the universe is actually expanding at certain rates, and we don't understand why. And we discovered things like dark energy. And we look at that and we go, we can't actually do the math or the physics with the tools that we have, with the elements that we have, with the tools that we have, with the math that we have, with the science that we have, to understand and put a landscape to the new rules that should exist in this hidden realm. It's literally a hidden realm. That's why we call it dark energy and dark matter. And dark energy is this like expansive fucking force, right? And when I think about dark energy personally, I think to myself,
The Force?
yes, exactly. Thank you.
Joking.
No,
Oh, okay.
Thank you. If I was the Force, what would I look like? What would I feel like? What would I do? And there's so much that we could explore there, but like,
Can't believe you think like this.
I think like this all the time. And like, I can't help it. And sometimes I think there's like, I would love more people. If anyone's listening to things like this, I would love to speak to these people because, and that's why I love YouTube University, because there's incredible things out there. And yet I know nothing. What's interesting about these thoughts is that some of them, for me personally, feel intuitive, which feels weird to say. But like when I really meditate and I go into the idea and the meditation of like, what would life look like if it were omnipresent, omniscient, like ever expanding, and I was God, what would it look like? I would play a game of hide and seek. That's what I would play. I would play a game where I create a physical universe for myself that I believe personally is rooted 95% in things that are based in consciousness and thought, that we today as human beings aren't studying and don't really pay enough attention to. And I would manipulate myself in a sense to the point where I would forget the true state of what I am in order to create the most insane. So now back to James Webb, like to create the most expansive, beautiful, like alarming in a sense, universe that I possibly could to get lost in, that exists now back to aliens, that exists at the possibility of probability for the elements that consist of like actual matter and actual energy that we can study to develop themselves into consciousness in forms that then become something that could have the moment to fathom existence and think, what would I do if I were God?
Like I don't assign it to like a God-like force. I just assign it to like entropy. Entropy is like there's a fixed matter of energy in the world, and there's a billion different chaotic ways in which it can be organized. So, and the direction in which it goes, the universe expands, And that's the way the energy is used. And it's entropy. It's not
And
like a god. Like
chaos aligned our carbon molecules to become human beings, but like it can align in any way.
Yeah, and I feel like the data kind of supports it. Like there are hundreds of billions of galaxies. Some prospects put it to like trillions of galaxies. That's insane.